So ordered. I now recognize the gentleman from Colorado, Mr. Lamborn, the subcommittee chairman, for 5 minutes to explain the legislation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I present to the committee H.R. 2728, the Protecting States' Rights to Promote American Energy Security Act. Representative Flores introduced this bipartisan legislation on July 18th, and on July 25th, the Subcommittee on Energy and Mineral Resources held a hearing on this legislation. This legislation would require the Department of the Interior to defer to state regulations, permitting, and guidance regarding hydraulic fracturing on federal lands within the state's boundaries. Since the Obama administration first announced its intention to promulgate federal hydraulic fracturing regulations, the subcommittee has heard testimony from over 30 witnesses telling us these regulations are unnecessary. While the administration claims these regulations are merely a baseline, the reality is these burdensome and duplicative regulations could significantly inhibit hydraulic fracturing on federal land. Small developers will bear the majority of the burden of these regulations. As a result, domestic energy production, job creation, and federal revenue will all be significantly inhibited while our dependence on foreign sources of energy continues. For decades, the states have taken it upon themselves to regulate hydraulic fracturing within their borders and have been successful in responsibly managing energy production in their states. State regulators are in the best position to handle the day-to-day management of energy production in their states. They understand the unique issues and geology and hydrology that must be considered when developing energy regulations. Just last week, we heard testimony from witnesses representing state energy regulators in Texas and Alaska. Each testified to the unique geologic issues each state faces in developing energy. Big government, one-size-fits-all blanket regulations that apply to every state, regardless of their unique features and considerations, simply will not work. States have worked tirelessly to create, maintain, and continuously update their own regulations, taking into account the differing needs of each state and the changing dynamics and technological advancement of the energy industry. And the state regulations are working. We have had numerous state regulators testify before our committee, and not one is aware of any inadequacy in their own state regulations. In fact, Commissioner Craddock of the Texas Railroad Commission testified that Texas has received representatives from numerous countries simply wanting to learn about Texas's hydraulic fracturing regulations. The bipartisan Protecting States' Rights to Promote American Energy Security Act will require the Department to defer to state regulations and will prohibit the Department from unnecessary and duplicative regulations in states that have existing regulations in place. Streamlining regulations and injecting regulatory certainty in the energy production process will allow domestic energy development to move forward, create and save American jobs, increase federal revenue, and decrease our reliance on foreign imports. I urge my colleagues to support this legislation, and Mr. Chairman, I yield back.